Hi, I'm Buddy Davis. Welcome to my show, Amazing Adventures. I am an adventure explorer, dinosaur sculptor, singer, songwriter, and I want you to join me as we explore God's amazing creation. Glad you're here. We're on our way to the great state of Montana, and we're going to be looking for real dinosaur bones. Some people ask me, hey buddy, what exactly is a dinosaur anyway? A little bit confused about that. A lot of people think that dinosaurs would be like pterodactyls. Nope, that's not a dinosaur, they're flyers. Some people think that a dinosaur is like a plesiosaur. Nope, they're swimmers. Dinosaurs were land animals. And they didn't walk sprawl-legged with their legs like how a lizard or a crocodile will walk. Dinosaurs walked with their legs directly underneath their bodies. And the word dinosaur, it's a brand new word as well. It wasn't even invented until the year 1841 by a man by the name of Sir Richard Owen. And that word dinosaur means terrible lizard. So we're going to look for some terrible lizards, triceratops to be exact. So I'm going to pack my trusty whip right now, and I think that we're ready to go. So come along with me to Montana and look for real dinosaur bones. Dinosaurs are found all over the world, including Antarctica, even as far north as Alaska. And we're going to go to the great state of Montana and the Badlands, and we're going to look for a dinosaur that's called Triceratops, a superstar among dinosaurs. And I'm just inspecting our airplane here, our Piper Cub, that's going to take us on this journey. So it's going to be fun. Hey, come on along. But only about 50 different kinds. Not that many, really. Hey, I just love to do this. Here we are at Makoshika Park, and I wanted to stop here on the way to the dinosaur dig to show you what this land looked like. Now, before the flood, this would have all been filled in with ground. And the flood water washed all that sediment away. And what you see here, that's what's left. You can see a little bit of a river running right down to the bottom. This is a good place to look for dinosaur bones. Who knows what you could find. And beside those rocks, you might find a big old T-Rex. Again, it could be a Triceratops. Could be one of the hadrosaurs. A lot of different varieties of hadrosaurs. This is just beautiful country. I thought you'd like to see it. Tell you what, we have an awesome God. And this is beautiful. Not only do you find Triceratops in these parts, you find one of the most famous dinosaurs of all, the superstar of all the dinosaurs, a mighty T-Rex. Dinosaur that weighed about, between 6 to 7 tons when it was alive, about 40 feet long. A great big one had between 50 to 60 teeth in its head. Found right here. In fact, just a few months ago, we were walking on a trail right over this bluff with the team, and almost stepped on a beautiful tooth of a T-Rex. Of course, we got it out of the ground, and right now it's being prepared at the Glendive Dinosaur Museum. Who knows what we're going to find today? I mean, this is dinosaur country, and we're here. This is so exciting. The word fossil means dug up. That used to pertain to things like arrowheads and pottery. But anymore, when somebody digs these up, it's called an archaeologist. Today, when you dig these up, all diamonds and gold or rocks or minerals, these people are called geologists. Paleontologist, on the other hand, is the modern word that we use for somebody that digs up what we think of being as fossils. And a fossil would be a once living plant or parts of it or an animal that has been replaced by natural processes, usually by sand, mud, and laid down by water. We like to think of billions of dead things buried in rock layers laid down by water all over the earth. So a paleontologist would study the fossils, such as this Camptosaurus dinosaur head, and I would work with that scientist, and we'd try to figure out what this animal might look like when it would be alive. That's where my job comes in, because I'm a paleo artist. And I take things like this piece of foam right here, and I start to carve on it, and eventually I get it to look something like a dinosaur. Try to make it look as real as what I can make it look. And that's what you'll see in the museums on a lot of displays. Boy, sometimes you gotta climb some crazy hills to find what you're looking for. That cave back in there. Those types of caves can be real dangerous, and you never want to go in them because they can fall. That's a good den for snakes, for rattlesnakes. That wouldn't be too exciting. Well, it'd be exciting, but we don't want to see any rattlesnakes. Not today. I made it. Right over there is where we're headed. Wow. Well, here we are. This is where Triceratops lays. Here's a team that's working right now digging out the bones of Triceratops. Very carefully working with screwdrivers, with paintbrushes. You gotta be so careful that you don't damage the bone. And as we find the bones, we're gonna very carefully pull them out. Some of them we might even have to plaster jacket so we can take them back to the museum. There we'll prepare them even more. But I want you guys to see what's happening, so come right along with me. Come on. One of the first things we have to do is remove the overburden. As we do this, we sift through the pieces. Might find a fish scale, might find part of a tooth, might find a dinosaur bone. Then we glue that back together, wrap it up in tin foil, take it back to the lab to try to find out exactly what we found. Well, let's talk about trace fossils. A trace fossil would be like a dinosaur track or a trackway. This is a track that I helped to uncover in Texas. And I took a mold of it, and it shows that there's been a dinosaur that walked through this area. You can learn a lot from trace fossils. It used to be when I was a little boy and go to school, when we'd draw pictures of dinosaurs, if we'd see them in our science books, it showed the big dinosaurs dragging their tails along. But you know what? When you find the footprints of dinosaurs, you don't find that tail drag. So that's caused the paleontologists, the scientists who study the fossils, to think that dinosaurs probably walked holding their tails out like this for balance. They're probably right about that. Yep, you can learn a lot by studying trace fossils. We're walking up through here. We're going to try to find what's called floaters. It's little pieces of dinosaur bones that will be coming out of this big old bluff right here. And we're going to trace that back and see if we can find where these bones possibly should be coming out of. So keep your eyes peeled, look close to the ground with me, and we'll see if we can find some dinosaur bones. This is what we're looking for right here. These are small pieces of bones called floaters. That's what the scientists call them. Just little fragments of dinosaur bones is coming out of this bluff. So what you do is you follow, you try to trace. You can see it's going right up through here. There's another one. There's some pieces right here that's going up. And you follow these little floaters, and eventually you find where that dinosaur is coming out of this bluff. So let's just walk right up here. Here we are. There's the bigger part of the bone. This is probably going to be a shoulder blade. Might be part of the pelvis, you don't know yet. But it's all broken apart, so what this has got to be, you have to dig this out very carefully. Then back at the museum, we'll glue all these pieces together, figure out for sure what it is. But this is definitely dinosaur bone. And what we need to do in some future date is bring the team right here to this site and remove all this. Who knows what we'll find in here. But this is really good. You know, most times when you find dinosaur bones, you don't find a complete skeleton laying on the ground like you see in the movies. Nope, not that way at all. Most times this is what you do find, pieces of bone. And where the science work comes in is trying to figure out exactly what kind of dinosaur it is. So once this bone's all put together, we'll use what's called comparative analysis. We'll take that bone, we'll compare it with other dinosaurs, and it'll match up. And that's how you can tell what type of dinosaur that you've actually found. This is really good. This is exciting stuff right here. Many people believe that it takes millions of years to make a fossil, but that's just not true. In fact, fossils can form very, very quickly under the right conditions. For instance, they found fossilized teddy bears, fossilized roses, fossilized felt hats. And I guarantee it didn't take millions of years to make those fossils. All it takes to make a fossil is just the right conditions. So the idea that fossils prove millions of years is just plain wrong. Fossils can be formed very, very quickly, in just weeks and even months. Hey, come on over here, guys. I think we got something. Well, what a miserable day. One thing you can't control whenever you're hunting dinosaurs is the weather. You know what? We're going to look anyway. That's what makes the adventure. There looks like something right in here that the team has found, and I get the honor of helping to try to get it out of the ground. Got to work careful here because, I mean, you could bust it up very easily, and I want to try to keep as whole as you can. Sometimes it's hard to know for sure if you got just a rock or if you've actually got a bone. It can be difficult, but we're pretty sure that this is bone. Once you get so far in this bone, you don't want to start digging just right underneath of it and prying up on it, because you can break it right in two for sure. But we're going to try to dig around it. And I can tell you one thing for certain. We have bone here, and this is dinosaur bone. And I'm not sure if this would be from a triceratops or a hadrosaur. I suspect that this, what's this right here? See, this is what will fool you. This looks like bone. This is not bone right here. This is just rock. Right here's the bone. Can you see that? I'll get right down here real close. Well, we're positive that we've got a dinosaur bone right here, but I'm going to go ahead and try to get it out of the ground. Then we're going to take it back to the lab, and we're going to put it all together and show you what it looks like when it's all put together again. That's part of the process that you do when you're out in the field like this. So you guys can join me back in the lab just as soon as we get this bone out of the ground. That's good. Sometimes people ask me what happened to the dinosaurs, and the dinosaurs that would not have been on board Noah's Ark, they would have drowned along with all the other animals. The ones that were fortunate enough to be on the Ark, when they came off, nobody would call them dinosaurs then, because the word dinosaur is a brand new word, means terrible lizard. And they'd have been thought of just as that, some type of a terrible lizard. Eventually they became known as dragons, and we hear of dragon legends all over the world. Probably the habitat changed greatly, and they were not quite as successful as they would have been in the pre-flood world, and they just died out, just like animals die out and become extinct all the time on this planet. So it's really no mystery. We just like to say, hey, they died. We really don't know why. Could there still be any dinosaurs that would be alive today? And I like to think maybe, perhaps, in some parts of the world, because the reason I say this is there's been reports by some people who claim that they have seen some dinosaur-like creatures in Africa, Australia, and even South America. Now, it's not been proven yet, but it's sure fun to think that maybe perhaps there still could be some of these in very remote parts of this earth that hasn't been explored yet. That's something that maybe you and I can do one of these days, is explore for a real live dinosaur. Well, welcome to the lab where we're working on the bone that we were excavating just a little while ago. We've now got it all glued together with the paleo bond. I've got it all scraped. We use these little dental tools right here like a dentist would use on your teeth. And you got to pick out all the little pieces of dirt and the mud and stuff that would be collected on this bone when we were getting it out of the ground. Get it all cleaned up. It's ready now to go on exhibit. This is actually the foot bone of a hadrosaur dinosaur, which is one of the duck-billed dinosaurs. Let me show you what part of the foot that this came off of. Came off of right here. Here's a hadrosaur foot, and it'll be this bone right here. And this is it. All right, see that? Now I want to show you some of the other things that we found. Found a lot of stuff. Love digging for dinosaur bones. Now I wanted to show you this though. This is from a ceratopian, like Triceratops, and this is what the bone looks like when it comes out of the ground. We had to put this plaster jacket around it to keep it from losing everything, keep it in place so we'd know just how the bone goes together. But you see, when you dig them out of the ground, they're all broken, and we had to glue it, clean it all up with the picks, glue it back together just like we did this bone right here. And it's all glued together. Now, before this goes on exhibit, probably what we'll do is go ahead and fill in these little cracks so it'll look like it was just brand new. And we're not sure what part of the body this one came out of. It's definitely dinosaur though, but just not quite sure what. Could be a jawbone, and we've got to do just some more tests on it. But this is part of the backbone of a dinosaur right here. And what you're seeing here in the plaster jacket is part of that shield that goes on the back of Triceratops. It'll be this right here, this part of its head. And this is what it looks like coming out. You see how it's all broken apart again? And very careful, it's like a puzzle. You got to figure out how this goes together. It takes a lot of work, a lot of hours in preparation. Well, that's some of the stuff that we found. I hope that one of these days you'll be able to come to eastern Montana and join me on a dinosaur dig. Well, while we're in the Badlands of Montana, we thought it'd be kind of fun just to slip on over to the Glendive Dinosaur Museum and check it out. We're going to meet the director of the museum, Otis Klein, and then we're going to go inside and look at some of the dinosaurs and other types of fossils that he has inside. Well, here we are at the Glendive Dinosaur and Fossil Museum, and I'm with my good friend Otis Klein. Otis, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. We've got a full-size T-Rex inside, a full-size Acrocanthosaurus, and other dinosaurs, and they all have a story to tell. It's a story about God's judgment and also God's creation and the fact that it didn't happen but just about 6,000 years ago.
Hey, let's check it out.
Let's do that.
Almost everybody's favorite dinosaur is Tyrannosaurus Rex, no doubt. Could you tell me a little bit about this guy?
Buddy, this T-Rex that's right here, his name is Stan. And if you find a dinosaur, it gets to be named after you in the sense of being able to distinguish Stan from Sue and some of the other T-Rexes. Stan here is 40 feet long. He was excavated in northwest South Dakota. And the part about Stan that we find very interesting is he was a real fighter in his lifetime. Stan had a broken neck, and that healed, didn't kill him. Yeah. Stan had the top part of his skull ripped off.
Now, how do you know that, though?
Well, we look at the skull. He's got some holes up in the top of his skull that fit a T-Rex tooth. But it didn't kill him because it's been healing.
Well, what were the arms used for? I mean, they're so small in that dinosaur. How, on T-Rex, what would they be used for?
Well, that's been a question for a lot of people for a long time. And I think that basically it was more of a placeholder. It certainly couldn't feed itself. The arms aren't that long.
And so, reach up to its mouth.
No, it doesn't even reach to its mouth. And so the T-Rex, I believe, would actually eat sort of like a dog. I mean, big gulps. And maybe those little arms down here just to hold whatever it is so that it could take some big gulping bites.
Wow. The teeth on these guys are huge. Just look at them. Between 50 to 60 teeth in its head. Wow, what a set of chompers.
Most of the time when dinosaur bones are found, they're found hard. They're petrified. They've been turned into stone. And you can see there's pore spaces and so forth in here. A lot of times these pore spaces are filled with minerals, and it really petrifies the dinosaur bone and makes it turn into stone. But just recently, Mary Schweitzer and her team found some dinosaur bones that had in the pore spaces of these bones soft, stretchy material, and material that they thought perhaps were red blood cells. And they found this material inside the pore spaces of these bones. They found this in a T-Rex bone. They reported this in a T-Rex bone, but it appears that it occurs in other bones as well. Recently, they've also found the same type of thing in a hadrosaur bone. There were some skeptics that presented counter-arguments that what they had found was not soft tissue and dinosaur material, and their critics suggested actually that bacteria had made these features. But with some additional work, just recently in the past few years, Schweitzer and her team came back and they've indeed confirmed that the blood cells that they found, that the soft tissue that they found, and so on, are indeed best explained as original dinosaurian material. This is important because it's unthinkable that these kinds of things could last. Red blood cells and stretchy material and other types of organic material of this nature, it's unthinkable that these things could last 65 million years or more. It shows that these bones are thousands of years old and not millions of years old.
This is Pachycephalosaurus. What a strange looking head on this guy. You talk about something that looks like a dragon.
That's right.
That sure does. Tell me a little bit about him.
Well, the Pachy is really quite interesting. You can see it's like it's got like a bald plate on top there. I mean, the crown there is actually solid bone.
Okay.
And on this particular animal, it would be the skull would be about that thick.
Wow.
Yeah. And originally, about the only thing they ever found were the skulls. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of the paleontologists would look at that and they'd sort of apply what we know today, Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep, bang heads together.
It's what you'd think with a
Sure.
skull that thick.
Absolutely.
That's what I always heard.
Mm-hmm. But we have it positioned this way so you can see in the back there. And it's got just about as thick as my finger. Just a little vertebrae that connects up to the back of the skull there, in the neck. Well, that's probably break its neck if it kept hitting like that. But I think, now this was all covered with keratin, so it would be some nice horns sticking out there. So it probably still went ahead and used them for defense, and maybe it butted some things, but I don't think they would fight like the Rocky Mountain bighorns fight.
Yeah. And this is one of the most complete that has ever been found with this particular type.
Now this one was found, I believe it is in the early 90s, and the gentleman that found it not only found the skull, but he found quite a bit of the body. And that was one of the first times that they'd actually found the body.
Wow.
So it's we're pleased to have it in the museum. It's actually our newest exhibit here.
Well, I love it. Well, while we're looking at the skeleton of Pachycephalosaurus, I thought it'd be fun for you guys to see what a live one might look like. So I sculptured one. Here it is. What do you think? Well, hello. Well, I absolutely love going on adventure, but there's nothing quite like getting to come back home to the log cabin. Sometimes I have boys and girls and moms and dads who will ask me, does the Bible talk about dinosaurs anyplace? And it doesn't use that word directly because the word dinosaur is a brand new word. It wasn't invented until 1841. However, in the book of Job, one of the oldest books in the Bible, Job chapter 40, starting with verse 15, talks about a behemoth. Behemoth is a big animal. Job knows this animal, and Job can identify with it, and God's telling Job about this huge creature that I think could be a dinosaur. And one of the reasons I think that is because it says it has a tail like a cedar tree. Well, an elephant doesn't have a tail like a cedar tree, and a hippopotamus maybe just a little flap of skin, but a dinosaur tail can weigh several tons just in itself. And there's many other references about this behemoth creature that fits the description of what boys and girls would call a long-necked dinosaur. And in the Bible, it also talks about dragons. Buddy Davis, you believe in dragons? I certainly do. I know God doesn't lie, and in the Bible, it talks about dragons. Dragon legends are found all over the world. Many times, dragons fit the description of what we'd call dinosaurs today. And then you find pictographs and petroglyphs, cave paintings of dinosaur-like creatures all over the world. All this is strong evidence, I believe, that dinosaurs and people did live together. And I know that dinosaurs and people lived together? Because of the Word of God. Dinosaurs were land animals. They were created on day number 6 of creation week. I've had some people tell me, buddy, it really doesn't matter what you believe about dinosaurs, but I think it matters greatly. For instance, what the world will say about dinosaurs is very different than what you get from the Word of God. And I like to think of it this way. Who should we trust first, God or the scientist? So, has every scientist always been there? And of course the answer is no. Does every scientist know everything? And of course the answer is no. Who's always been there? God. Who knows everything? God. So who do you think we should trust first? Somebody who's always been there, knows everything, or somebody that hasn't? And I think the answer is very clear. We trust the Word of God. Well, I hope you've enjoyed our adventure, and I'd like to encourage you to get out and explore God's wonderful creation and give Him the glory. I just love to do this.